West Africa. So you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you for having me, Omar.
So dealing with the GBC problem, there's a huge debt that has to be dealt with. The president said they will find ways around it, but he also even proposes a new media levy to support the GBC and do away with the TV license as we currently know it. What's your view? Is that the best way to strengthen the state broadcaster?
Well, I think GBC has been in some sort of crisis for quite a long time now. And across the world, I think public media remains quite relevant. And if you look at the establishment of GBC, its mandate, what the Constitution provides, the insulation from governmental control, and all of that, it remains a very, very vital establishment for the development for our country, for our democracy, and all of that. But as we all do know, GBC has been in crisis for some time now, which is not only financial, but sometimes management as well. But of course, even if management is solid and you don't have the resources, it becomes difficult for you to really accomplish your mission. And whatever mechanism that will be efficient in terms of mobilizing the needed resources for GBC to function effectively, I think would be in order. Of course, we all know that the so-called TV license has not worked, has not generated the resources that GBC needs. So it must be a holistic thing. It shouldn't just be about introducing a funding mechanism and leaving it at that, because even if GBC is well-resourced, I think there are questions about management. Of course, Professor Amin Al-Hassan has done an incredible work, but there's a lot to be done in terms of management as well.
You have been monitoring the sub-region. Is GBC, as we have it now, still relevant for us as a country? It was set up decades ago. There was a purpose, communicate the state's agenda and all of that. There's media plurality now. There are so many radio stations, so many TV stations, social media or new media is the ish now. Do we still need to have a state broadcaster that we fund as citizens?
Well, I think that we still need a public service broadcaster, even though all the private media houses that we have, including City, would do things that are of public interest. I mean, all the programming that you do certainly inures to the benefit of the public. But there would sometimes be public interest programming that comes with cost without benefits that becomes quite unattractive for private sector media to handle. And to that extent, I think that if we have a public sector media or a public service media that is well-resourced, well-endowed, well-managed, to be able to, do the public service programming across the country. GBC has all the branches across the country. In terms of even television broadcast, GBC still has the infrastructure that the DTT is running on. So if we do have it, I think that it's certainly a good thing. You go to places like UAE, and they are in the process of actually establishing and strengthening, broadcasters such as GBC to be able to continue to carry the vision of the leadership of the country or the governance of the country and all of that. So for the public interest programming, for the sake of that, I think GBC is still a very, very vital institution.
Okay, so if we believe so and want to strengthen it and we introduce a TV licensing regime, which is actually a law, why don't we rather focus on enforcing that law? Why are we introducing a new levy when we could simply enforce the law and collect the money?
Well, yes, laws are made to work, but of course you do know that sometimes certain laws are made and implementation becomes a problem. And I think in terms of the TV licensing law, that has been the problem. The law exists, but one would ask, why is it not being collected? Why is it not being efficiently implemented? I think that the nature of it and the country that we find ourselves in makes the enforcement of such a piece of legislation quite difficult. And that is why I think the mechanism that the president says they are thinking about could be perhaps a way to go. We have had levies that perhaps have served us far less. The sanitation and pollution levy is a classical example. Millions were collected, in fact billions, and yet it solved no problem in terms of our sanitation and our pollution. But it was implemented in such a way that it's easy to collect. Every fuel you buy, the 10 pesos or so goes into the levy. So it's so easy to mobilize. So if we have a legislation like that to serve a critical interest as in revamping GBC, I think that would work. But to continue to focus on the TV license and mechanism, I think the difficulty is the collection and the enforcement of it.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Sulemana Braimah, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. Let's speak to another